to the Publishing by the Numbers podcast. It is mid-March, and I am hoping that by the time that it's mid-March that I have flowers and sunshine, because we are recording this in February and currently my house is buried in snow. So I'm dreaming about March, and I'm sending my good vibes out into the universe because I really need the snow to melt, but that's okay. Today we are going to be episode, I didn't write down the episode, did I? It's episode 24, writing organizations and more conferences. And today we have a special guest, but before I get to that, let me introduce my amazing co-host, Virginia Anderson. Hello, Virginia.
Hello, everyone.
And usually CJ is here, but she got hauled off to a teenager's birthday party. We weep for her because I'm pretty sure that while she loves her teenager, a teenager's birthday party it's an event, guys. So we send her our best wishes, and we will see her next week. But today we have a special guest joining us, and this is Rachael Bush, and I'm going to read her background, and then we'll get into why it is that we have absconded with her and brought her onto our show. So let's see. Rachael Bush published her fourth book, Love on Location, with the Wild Rose Press in 2018 under her pen name, September Roberts. As September, she writes romance that is smoking hot, woohoo, and always has a happily ever after, my kind of romance. As Rachael, she writes short stories about her tumultuous childhood, featured in the 85th Anniversary League Anthology, The Function of Freedom, and the Botany for Everyone series. When she's not writing, she volunteers for the League of Utah Writers as the president-elect, the Blue Quills chapter president, and serves on the conference committee while also building the app for the conferences. For nerdy science and art, follow Rachael on Instagram at Botany for Everyone. So, hi, Rachael. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
This is going to be tremendously fun. This month, we have been talking about conferences. We've been talking about organizations, what they are, why they're beneficial. And as much as you guys love hearing us talk about everything, we thought we would get some specialists in. So a couple of weeks ago, we had Tara in. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if Tara is Rachael's accomplice in crime or vice versa, but they have been connected to the hip doing conference committee things for a very long time. I don't even know how many years it's been now, but a very long time. And so we thought we'd get Rachael in because she's got some perspective that would be kind of fun. So let's start with what brought you to the League of Utah Writers? Because I know you're part of the League. You've been there for a long time. Why?
So can I just interject? I'm really sorry, Rachael, because
no.
She's not sorry. Go ahead.
Can we just define and explain what is the League of Utah Writers?
Yeah,
for those who don't know what that is at all.
That's I'll hop in on that. So the League of Utah Writers is a nonprofit writing organization that was founded in 1935 by a super cool woman who just got it up and running, by Olive Woolley-Burt. Very progressive, really amazing person who wrote the most progressive books from the 1930s and 40s and 50s. It was spectacular. Her career is amazing. It's intense. Anyway, so the League has been around for decades, and there are chapters that extend over the length of the state, but I have members who are all over the world. One of my members is in Bali right now, and because of the time zone difference, it's her morning for our nighttime meetings. It's perfect. And so there are chapters all over the state. They're open to the public, and a lot of them are meeting online, especially since the pandemic happened. But even before that, there were chapters that were exclusively online. And the League is a place where we kind of, help writers build community, make connections, and kind of basically like cheerlead for each other and help each other out. That's the basic. Is that enough, Virginia?
Virginia, no, that's good. No, that's really good. I think it's just for people who have never heard of that, so it's good.
Right. Yeah. So we're Utah's oldest and largest writing community, which is interesting because a lot of people have not heard of us. But I think it's something that Jana was talking about earlier, where she said that writers tend to be kind of isolated and kind of working on their own, like little gremlins in their basement. And which is what I was doing when I first started writing. And I was so isolated that I didn't even know there was a group of people who I could rely on for support, because, you know, writers understand writers, and there's nothing like being around people who get you, you know, who are like you, who think like you do, and research and go down the same kind of weird rabbit holes that you do, where you find things on your search engine that you shouldn't maybe keep. You should probably clear that cache. Yeah. Other writers understand that, right?
Oh yes. When I die, the laptop gets destroyed because
Yeah.
there's way too much incriminating evidence on there.
Yeah. I was researching decomposition rates and things that impact that. And I was like, I hope no one in my family goes missing. Because that'd be bad.
Definitely. I think I have the number of things like How to Get Away with Murder, Perfect Crime. You know, my Google feed is full of those things. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'm planning to get a new laptop soon. I think this one, it needs to be destroyed. I don't even know if wiping it blank would be sufficient. So I think
you take the hard drive out and you hit it with a hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Just pound on it.
It's interesting. But you asked me how I got involved. I took a writing class in 2016, and it was the first. It wasn't a writing class, it was a querying class. It was how to query, because I didn't know how to do that effectively. So I took this class from Johnny Worthen, who was a past president of the League of Utah Writers. And at the time, he was the president-elect. So he was where I am now. And he was just so excited, and he was so jazzed to be there. And I learned a bunch while being in that class. And I also connected with a few of the writers who were in there. And I thought, why don't I surround myself with these people all the time? These people are awesome. They totally get it, because writers are pretty great. And as much as, you know, your family loves you, they don't really understand anything about any of the things that make you happy or that make your brain work the way they do. So it was nice. It was nice to find my people. So I started, and Johnny said, if you're not a part of a writing organization, you should join one. So I thought like this. I went, okay, in 2017, with the new year, I was like, this is me getting outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to go join some writing organizations. And at the time I was writing only romance. And so I joined the RWA, the Romance Writers of America. And that worked out really well for a little while. And then I joined the League of Utah Writers, and I found a chapter that was in my hometown, and it was dying. And then after being there for, I think, 3 months, the president was like, peace out, I'm done. And I went, well, I guess it's me who's running it. So I brought my chapter back from the brink of death, and now we are strong and meet twice a month and have members all over the world. So it's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's hit on that for just a minute, because your chapter has done some really, really cool things. Do you want to talk about the books, the anthologies that your chapters put together? Because I love this idea that in some of these chapters, part of what you're doing for authors is helping them to get their very first publications. And I know when we talk to people, you know, they'll go, well, I need to do this, but it's so many steps and I don't know how to do it, and I don't have any credentials. And so something your chapter is doing, which is a huge benefit with doing these kinds of organizations, is you guys put out anthologies, so people start getting that credential of, hey, I'm in a book. So tell us about your anthologies.
Okay, I will. I'm so excited. So when I took over my chapter, I asked all of my members, I said, what do you want? What do you want from these meetings? And they wanted critiques, and they wanted to have presenters they could learn from. So we have 2 meetings a month. We have critiques on the first Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And we have presenters on the third Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And I have a group of people who just broke off and have a brainstorm session that happens on the first and third Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. on Mountain Time. Anyway, and they also said, we want to be published. I want my name in a book. I want my name to be on a thing. This story written by blah, blah, blah. So that was the thing they wanted. They wanted to learn more. They wanted to have all this stuff, but they really wanted to be published. So these our books. So we
They're
have
so pretty.
Within Earshot was our first anthology. We chose to do a 6-part series, and it's all about the senses. So this one's about overheard conversations. And then I'm trying to remember which one was next. Line of Sight, I think, was next. This one's about meaningful eye contact. And then Within Reach, this one was about meaningful touch. The one that just got published is Reminiscence, and it's all about smell connected to a memory. And the stories in that one are so much fun. I love it. And then the one that we're actually accepting submissions for right now is a meal that changes someone's worldview or perspective, and how that, and it's so varied. People are interpreting it in so many different ways. I love it. And we take stories that are, we've had memoir and poems and all kinds of genres of fiction, all the things that you could imagine. But we do get a fair amount of memoir every year, which is great. I love reading those stories because they're so wonderful, like looking into an author's brain. So the anthologies have been really awesome. We publish one every year. Now, the first one we did, when we did Within Earshot, this one we worked with a small publishing press to like get it done and like polish it and do all that jazz. But one of the things that I thought my chapter was kind of missing, and because I no longer had that opportunity, that connection, is I wanted the members themselves to learn how the editing process worked, because it's so hard. And when you are submitting, like throwing your stuff out into the world and you're querying strangers, you get all this information out there and you don't really understand the process of it until you get to work with an editor. If they say, yes, we'd like to offer you a contract, and here's your editor, and here's your deadline, and all this stuff, and you are forced to learn how to be a professional writer very quickly. So after the first book, I went like this, hey, you're going to do peer editing. So they did peer developmental and content editing. And then I pay a copy editor. I pay a copy editor to do our copy edits. I pay a cover artist. I pay formatting. We get it all done. And then it's fantastic. But after each author works with their peer editors, because you have to edit 3 other people's stories. And after that all works, then the author has a chance to clean up their story and get it ready for publication. And then it's peer scored. So I have a scoring rubric, where every single story is scored by at least 5 people. So it's this really even, I get very even scoring. So outliers it doesn't even matter, because I have so many people judging that it's awesome. Because our chapter has like, I don't know, 30 something people who are kind of in and out, rotate through, and any given meeting, there's only about a dozen of us, but it's still like, it's a nice little community. It's a nice little cluster of people. And because of the peer editing and because of the peer scoring, we really get a chance to know each other and learn from each other and learn how their writing style works. And it gives them a chance not only to work on their own piece, but also it teaches them how to become a great editing partner, because that takes so much practice. And I don't know that a lot of people have an opportunity to do that. So the anthologies we publish now are very much focused on opportunities to do edits, to work with an editor, to score others, to judge others' pieces, which is also difficult to do and takes a lot of practice. So I want them to be able to learn how to do that and be fair about it. And then they get a vote. Like the last one, on when we did our Reminiscence book, the one that just came out, we worked together as a group and came up with our blurb together, the back cover copy. Like we all came up with it together. So I was brainstorming and sharing my screen, because we all meet via Zoom. And I was sharing my screen and I'm typing, and people are just like shouting out sentences, and I was typing the whole thing. And then we really worked together as a group and edited down to this tight little paragraph. It was beautiful. I loved this. It was because it's not me. I'm not the gatekeeper. It's not my project. It is our project. We all are proud of this work. Like, yes, as the chapter president, I'm doing a lot of work, but it's okay. I had help along the way. Jana helped me with so much stuff. I still I have it written all down and I have to like go through my checklist every time. It's ridiculous, but it's so helpful. So anyway, the anthologies are fantastic. And then we have little book release parties and we do book signings, and we just make it fun, and they order copies for their family members and they get to give them to everyone. And it's awesome. I love it. I love it. And all the covers match and they're all beautiful. So it makes me happy.
Wow. 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 I'm blown away, really. So I have so many questions coming up. So here you go.
I knew you would love this. I knew as soon as I showed you, look, here's Rachel in her very organized world and all the things she's doing, that you would just, so please go ahead.
I love everything. I love the collaborative aspect. I love the creative aspect. I love the community aspect. Everything. And I love the themes that you found. This is amazing. So first thing first, where can we find those books?
On Amazon. They're on KDP.
Okay. Maybe just mention the title again so that for our listeners we can.
So if you get on Amazon and you search for Blue Quill Anthology,
okay,
that will show up. It'll bring up all of our anthologies, because Blue Quill, or if you search for Blue Quill chapter, but Blue Quill Anthology, because I checked today, it pulls them all up, because I was like, what's the link for that again? And I just searched because I didn't want to go through my bookshelf or whatever. So
okay. As I said, plenty of questions, but probably in a not organized order. Are you? Is it self-published? Are you using a publisher?
No, we as a chapter are publishing them.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So they're self-published. Yeah.
Right. So if I'm a brand new author and I want to be part of something like that, what do I do? How
you join our chapter? Would you join our chapter and we chat about it all the time, and you get a chance to work on it. It's awesome. So even if we have people, because I've had people who've joined my chapter after the submission window has closed. So the submission window for each year is from like January to the end of March. So all those few months, and then we spend April, May, June doing our edits, and then the copy editor works in July, and then we do formatting in August, September, and then we get it out hopefully in the fall. I mean, that's the whole, this year it took forever because we were waiting for the cover art, but like no one was sad or crying about it. It was just delightful when it finally happened.
How do you?
They just join and come and find us.
How do you finance all those projects? Because you said that you hire all different sort of.
I do. Yeah. Such a great question. Okay, so the membership for the League of Utah Writers is only $30 a year, and part of that goes toward the organization, the main organization, and a smaller part of that goes to each chapter, which is why all of these people who have been in these books, these are all chapter members of my chapter. So I can pay for a cover artist, and I can pay for a copy editor, and I can pay for formatting. So but I have to say though, my copy editor, she is basically doing this as a charity project. I reached out to one of the chapters of the League of Utah Writers is the freelance editors chapter. And Talissa Signs is the chapter president for that. And I was like, Talissa, do you happen to have someone that you could help me find who could do this thing for me for like cheap or maybe free? And she said, let me ask. So she asked all of her editors and said, anyone here want some experience and also something nice to put on your resume? Like, I do charity work for a nonprofit organization, or I do charity work for a little writing chapter for their anthologies. And I was connected with Casey with Top Editing, and she's been amazing and she does wonderful work. Yes.
So I think actually it's because some of our listeners, they are editors or they are book cover designers, they are already in this industry. And I actually don't really see it as some charity work. It's really a good marketing tool, you know,
Yep.
to bring exposure and to your work. Because the next question will be like, who is your editor? Can we get her contact details so we might have some work for her? So you know, so I think it's a really good way to bring some work basically. So
yeah, and we feature her on our placard page as well. So
yeah,
we have her in there because I want to make sure she's, you know, taken care of. And a few of the authors who've done stories in the anthology, they've hired her to work on projects with them. So they've done collaborative stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all like, you know, and so it's not like I pay her very much, and I always apologize. I'm like, I wish I could pay you more, but this is really within our budget. And she's like, it's not a big deal. It's fine. This is fine. So I spend most of the chapter dues I get from the people who contribute to anthologies to publish the anthology. So it's not like we're not like making money off of it. I make them as affordable as possible. I make them really just what I want is for the authors to have a copy of a book with their name on it on their shelf, because that's what they want. That's what they've all told me that they want. So I just make sure it's ready for them, and I order author copies, and then we meet up at the library and I'm like, here's your 10 copies, here's your 5 copies, whatever they ordered, and it's pretty great. So
but I think this is amazing. Like as a writer, you know, we need to constantly write because that's how we can improve. And this is a really great opportunity to do that, to practice and have your peers to review your work and to give you constructive criticisms. And I hope they're constructive. I assume they're constructive.
They're getting better. They're getting better. At the beginning, it was really rough, and I had to kind of moderate a little bit, and I had to get in there and be like, okay, these are opinions that maybe you're not a fan of this story, so maybe you should edit someone else's story. So like you were saying earlier, where you're not a huge fan of romance, so you just be like, oh, this is romance, not for me. So at the beginning of every story, when we submit them, and we all work through Google Drive too, so the documents are all there, everyone has access, everything is even and fair. I'm the owner of the account, so if anything happens, like there's a mistake or something gets deleted by accident, I can just, you know, like restore things. But it's been really effective because everyone can get in there and everyone can see other things. And at the beginning of the thing, I say like their name and the title of the story, the genre of their piece, if there are any trigger warnings or content warnings that are in there. So sometimes we've had like poems that deal with substance abuse, or poems that deal with death or loss. So we lift, and then if there's someone who is triggered by reading a story about death, they're just like, that's not for me. That's I'm going to pass on that. You don't have to edit every single person's story. You pick 3. And in our anthologies, there's on average about a dozen people who do stories. So you can just pick whoever you want to work with. And we have people who are all over the spectrum on genre. So you get to choose.
I mean, this is such a great way to, you know, if you are very like a beginner in this game. So I think this is a great way to get to enter. And you say you mentioned that the membership is only $30 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said that many times on previous episode of our podcast, and there's no industry that I've been involved in that's so collaborative and so approachable, and to, you know, the entry point, it's not that hard. It's a little bit of talent, a lot of hard work, but there's a lot of giving back. So the willingness to share and to collaborate and to help each other, it's extraordinary. I think this is just, yeah, this is another reason why this is something that I want to do for, you know, even for the business aspect of things that I want to do for life, because it doesn't feel like work. It feels like something that you almost feel like there's a purpose in what we do, you know. And yeah, so I'm getting old, like, you know, like gooey and fuzzy. So Jenna, can you take over, please? Because this is getting
I'm
embarrassing.
having a good time watching you get all gooey because it's always funny. So, well, let's expand a little bit. So we've talked about your chapter. You've been involved on the conference committee for a long time.
Yep.
I know that the League of Utah Writers sponsors 2 conferences a year. You've
Yes.
got pre-Quills coming up here in the spring, and then
Yep.
Quills is usually in August. You want to tell us a little bit about those, and why would this organization put on conferences? What's maybe the benefit of attending your conferences?
Yeah.
What do you think about the conference thing? I love conferences, as you well know. I'm hoping to come back this year because I've been out of circulation post-pandemic, but this year I'm hoping to come back. So tell us about Quills and pre-Quills.
Okay, so the pre-Quill conference is happening in April, at the end of April on the 29th. And it's I like to think of pre-Quill as our, like an entry level. So this is community facing, and it's to kind of pull in new writers, super affordable. And it's a day of live events. So it's like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. is the schedule, where we will have like a welcome and then workshops back to back to back with breaks in between. And then a keynote from Amina May Safi is coming, and she is fantastic. I love her books. If you have not read her books, they're wonderful and diverse and lovely and heartwarming and so real and gritty. I just love her writing. It's so beautiful. Anyway, so Amina May Safi is coming. She's going to be teaching a workshop and giving a keynote. And then we also have, our closing address, and then we'll have a book signing thing where hopefully my new books are coming. So my chapter can all come and sit around a table, and we can all sign anthologies, and people can buy them if they want. It's like whatever. So it'll be fun. But the conference itself so that's just the one day of live events. We also have, I'm trying to think if it's 35 hours of pre-recorded videos that they're on demand in our event app, which I am in the process of building. I will be launching it at the end of the month, which is why my February is very full. And so I've been building all of those and embedding all of the videos. So attendees who get a ticket to the conference, they will just log in and start watching videos on their own time frame from March 29th until April 29th. So they have a month to watch all of these hours of pre-recorded content. So we have some really interesting ones. Of course, you would expect to find videos on writing craft and marketing and like on publishing. Here's like some information on publishing, but we also have someone who did a presentation on fraud, like how to write
Awesome.
fraud. It's so cool. And then there's a bunch in there about these very specific jobs that people have had, and they're like, here's how it is. Here's how you can write music accurately. And I'm like, oh, so you can do that now because you're talking to an expert. So we have a bunch of expert videos, and it's going to be cool. And then on the 29th, we have these live sessions, which will be live streaming in the app. And because the app is so new and awesome, people will be able to chat during the sessions in the little sidebar. They'll be able to ask questions, and the volunteers who are running the cameras will be able to moderate, or the speakers themselves if they have the brain power to do that. I certainly will not have the brain power to do that, but I would be happy for a volunteer to take care of that for me. But yeah, it's just going to be awesome. So the pre-Quill conference is just this kind of a one day in person at your own pace, very leisurely, very introductory. Most of it is very much beginner, or there's a few intermediate sessions, but most of them are basic introductory sessions. They are really aimed at new writers. They're aimed at young writers. We are working with a couple of grant partners to make the pre-Quill conference available to teens, because we want teenagers to be able to have access to the pre-recorded content, to improve their craft, to hear what experts have to say who aren't their parents, because parents don't know anything and they're stupid. I mean, as we all know.
Hey, wait, that sounds like my kids. I feel attacked.
I have 2 teenagers, so yeah, I don't know anything. But if I was talking to another teenager, I would know things, but not my own. Not my own.
Right.
No. But yeah, so the prequel conference is going to be awesome. I'm really excited. And that's happening in Salt Lake. But if you can't come to Salt Lake, then you can attend virtually. And tickets are $25 for members. It's so cheap. It's just so cheap. It's super affordable and it's super awesome. And it's really aimed at just pulling people in. And if you aren't a member, it's $50 and you get a membership with it. You just say what chapter you want to be a member for. And Tara will take care of that because she's our membership chair and she's amazing. And then the Quills conference is in August. It's second weekend in August, also in Salt Lake. And the Quills conference is a 4-day event where we have workshops and mingling that happens on Thursday. And then Friday and Saturday are scheduling basically 12 hours a day. It's full and it's amazing. There are agents and editors you can pitch to. We already have a handful of agents and editors who have agreed to come. So Stacy Kondla from the Rights Factory is coming back. And we have, her name just escaped me. There are 4 people I can think of who are definitely coming. And we also have 2 people who have said they're coming virtually to take pitches virtually. And it's like querying, but to their face for 10 minutes. And you have their undivided attention for 10 whole minutes. And it's great. So yeah, we have agents and editors. We have keynotes coming. We have some really awesome poetry planned for Sunday. So we have the Poets Breakfast, where we'll have a poet keynote and then an open mic where people do slam poetry or just read their poetry that was part of the contest. And then Sunday wraps up with more workshops that are kind of hands-on, longer sessions. So you can really get into it, But yeah, in the past, the Quills Conference has hosted the fire department. So how to write fires realistically. We have hosted the crime lab. That was really cool. So we had a DNA.
Awesome.
We had a DNA analyst.
Oh,
we
wow.
had a crime scene. I don't think he's considered a police officer, but he's like a crime scene investigator. He was there. And then there was a third person who, I'm trying to remember what Michelle's job was. Oh, maybe she worked in the DNA lab. Yeah, so there was a DNA analyst, and then there was another DNA. It was all so cool. And then we also had people from hospitals who came and talked about how hospitals work, so authors could get it right. And honestly, I want to bring in like glazers and locksmiths so people can like know what it's like to break in to somewhere and not have it in their search on the computer, right?
Yes.
But yeah, and so the Quills conference is more expensive because it's a 4-day conference, but it's only $200 unless you want meals, and then it's like $350, I think. But food is expensive at hotels. Holy crap, they charge a ton for that. But yeah, it's super awesome, and we have had some of the most amazing speakers. So this year we have E.K. Johnston coming. She writes for the Star Wars franchise. We also have R.J. Walker, who is a award-winning slam poet. He's going to be our keynote for our Sunday brunch. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait to see him perform in person because his YouTube videos, they're amazing. But yeah, so we have cool stuff. We also have photographers doing headshots for, people who want to start like a professional website or for their business cards or whatever. And we have agents and editors teaching classes, and they're on panels talking about how to get out of their slush pile. Like, it's amazing. I cannot wait to see what comes in for Quills this year, because last year was spectacular.
What's the size of those? No, that's great. I mean, that's a good change, because usually I'm talking a lot. So, but what's
do you want me to tell her about being concise, or are we okay?
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean,
okay.
Let's, first impression, let's give her some good impression, and then she can say, "Oh my God, this woman, she's too much." But what's the size of those conferences? Like, what the number of attendees?
Well, it's been weird during the pandemic. And it really, so I started building the event app in 2019. That was the first year that I started building the event app for that. So it's been for, how many is that? So it was 2 that year, 20, 21, 22. So I've done 8, 9. I've built the app for 9 events now. And it's super intense, but because I'm so tied to the app build and the registration part, which is what Tara handles, I get to see all the attendees and I get all that stuff in there. So our presenter list is like 50 people,
Wow.
which is awesome because we want those people to be there, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love those people. So, but for both of our conferences, our presenter list is around 50 people. And maybe for Prequel this year, it's about 45 instead of 50. And then for Quills last year, I think we had 60 presenters. And then it's somewhere around 200 attendees. They're not super crowded. And we have events happening in multiple rooms. So there's plenty of room to spread around and see things. And if you don't feel like being around people and you peopled out for the day, you can just get on your phone and watch it live stream. That's fine too.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, you mentioned the app, so no, I'm not going to ask you questions on this call.
I mean, you could.
know,
I could answer all of them.
I'm sure. And no, I'm just looking at Jenna, and I'm like, no, she's going to get me back on track.
I'm
but
being good.
You know, we'll get you back because I'm so fascinated. Like, this is just because I look at things not just from the creative side, but I like to look at everything from also business side of things. So, and a lot of our listeners, they want to also stop this starving artist cliche, and then actually make a living with their books. So that's why I mean, I can see all the opportunities those conferences that might present. Network,
Yeah.
it's so important in this world.
Well, and we have an international audience. So a lot of our listeners are from all over the globe, not just here in the US. And so I've loved that so many of these conferences are now, the technology is available that we can say, hey, yeah, my friends in the UK, my friends in Australia, whatever, can jump on the app. They can join these conferences. They can live stream it. Yes, it'd be even more fun if they could be there with us in person, but it creates opportunity for our writing community to expand well beyond just our geographical location.
Well, and not only that, but it allows us to bring speakers in from other places that we couldn't otherwise. I think it was in 2020, we had one of our keynotes was from New Zealand, and we couldn't have made that happen if it hadn't been for the technology in the app, where we literally just scheduled a live stream with her. She popped on, she gave her workshop, everybody attended virtually. We all connected through the app. It was amazing. It was awesome.
That's I mean, the options and the possibilities or the opportunities these days we can do with technology. And also I want to say, because some of our listeners, they're like, oh, I'm not techie, I'm not into any of those. It's really intuitive, it's really easy to use.
They are,
even if you struggle with Zoom, let's say, I think a pandemic was actually quite helpful in that sense.
It pushed.
Yeah, it forced some people to actually, okay, I need to get familiar with some of those tools that we use. But you really don't need to be particular techie to become successful in this industry. And even we talk a lot about marketing for authors. Because it doesn't matter how great your book is, if you don't market your book, it's just not going to go anywhere. Like, I like that my mom is my biggest fan, but really it's no. So
you need a bigger audience.
I need a slightly bigger audience. So it's just so important that we embrace all the marketing, and then you really get to learn a lot of new things at those conferences. And because with experts who are doing this every day. And now you don't even have to go there. Like when I was listening to you talking about those conferences, I was having a little bit of FOMO, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could just be there. And I actually quite like the ratio of speakers versus attendees, because it's a lot of resources, but
It
not
is.
that many attendees. So I feel like it's that face-to-face experience will be invaluable. But at the same time, because there are so many conferences and they will all have limited resources, so I can't go there, but I can now attend virtually. So this is so exciting time for you guys and for our listeners and for all of us in this industry. I'm just so excited that I get so excited that I dream about it. I think about it all the time, and I don't sleep well because of that. So I'm just complaining. I had to complain about something. So
No,
yeah.
I was just hoping the FOMO would get you to come and visit us in Utah.
Yeah,
this is my goal in life, guys, is sooner or later I am going to make Virginia come and visit us in the great state of Utah and meet all of my writer friends, and it will be
a beautiful place. It's beautiful here.
I feel like it's inevitable now. I feel like
it really is.
It's just a matter of time, and I think 2024 might be the year. So I mean, like tough life, like, oh, I have to go visit a beautiful place and learn things and meet wonderful people. Oh, I don't know, it's really tough. I don't know. Let me think. I think 2024 will be really time to go there. So
well, like you said, that it's so accessible. When we did our I think it was just 2020 that we did exclusively, or did we do 20 and 21? I can't remember. I think we did either one or two of our conferences only online, only through the app. And I have surveys, right? Because I love to find out more information from people, like, what did you like? What did you not like? Which was this? What was that? So I can really use that data to steer the conference committee in the right direction, to use it. I'm all about data because I'm a scientist. And one of the things I got as far as feedback went was that we had people who this was their first conference ever because they are homebound, or they are a full-time healthcare giver for a parent or a child, and they literally cannot leave their house. And so here we were providing this opportunity, and I was like, I didn't even know that they weren't able to come, because I am privileged and I don't have any of those obstacles that are in my way. So, but it was just enlightening and wonderful to find out that we were providing this amazing service to people who had been left out before. And I went like this, we're never going to leave those people out again. So everything we do from here on out is going to be hybrid. And, in 2018, I went to the RWA, the Romance Writers of America. They had a national conference that was really great until the organization imploded. And when I went, they had an event app, and I went, oh, this is so cool. We need this. This is amazing. And I came back and I met with the executive committee and I said, we need this. And they said, no. We have printed programs. We have printed programs. So we're going to stick with our printed programs. And I said, and what happens when you have a speaker who changes their schedule, who drops out at the last minute, and you have a printed program that says they're going to be in that room over there, and then they're not because they had some family emergency. And there's no way to communicate that to everyone because you are working with a piece of paper. And we were spending a fortune on printing those because high quality printing, costs money. And so I really said, we need an event app, and we need to do the thing. And they said, okay, who's going to build it? And I said, I guess I will. I don't know any of this stuff, but the platform, because I researched all the things, I made a spreadsheet. I know it was very exciting, compared all of their features, checked all the boxes. And I found one that had a really great attendee facing front end. That's what sold me. I'm like, this makes sense to me. It'll make sense to everyone else. So that's what I wanted. I wanted something that looked pretty, that was easy to use, that had buttons. You could just tap a button and join a session. You didn't have to do anything. You don't have to sign in. You don't have to log into weird other apps of anything. It's just all in one place.
And I mean, I'm so blown away. I mean, I've been blown away for the first 2 minutes into this conversation. And my mind, it's going to even too fast for me to actually. Okay, calm down. Okay,
You've made Virginia almost speechless. This is an amazing, red letter day. I'm going to mark it in my calendar. Today, Virginia was so excited that she couldn't even speak.
Oh my God, I because there's so many things that I think we can do to help authors, and a lot of things that you do for your organization can be implemented into the author's own business.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of, making this bridge, the parallel between the different things. So I cannot stress how invaluable it is to be able to speak with people in the same industry and to go to those conferences. And because just when
amazing.
I receive a lot of newsletters from different authors, just by reading those things, I get heaps of ideas of how I can grow my books, how I can grow my audience. And they are I'm too excited to even anyway, I think I really need to talk to you not on this call, because I mean, people might be getting a little sick of hearing me talking, but I really want to talk to you more about this app, about how you how people, if they are already quite a seasoned writer, for example, how they can organize something like what you've created in their location, in their local community, how they can do those things, because the strength is really in the community, it's really in the team. It's not on our by ourselves. And this Elantum Digital, it would never be able to exist if I didn't have Jenna and CJ with me to make this happen. And we are really kind of just, it's like, oh, this idea and that idea, and we can do this and we can do that. And then we're very complementary. And I think it's the same in this community, where you can draw strength from someone else and then help others with what you are good at. So I'm so happy to have this call with you, Rachel. Jenna, you got to take over, because this
you're doing it again. I'm on top of it. So actually, a thing I want to bring up before we move on to our relevant moment is something about your presenters that I know, which is that authors and other people who have specialties, anyone can apply to be a presenter, can't they? What are your restrictions for people that come and teach everybody else?
Nothing. I mean, you have to know things, and we all know things. Like, everyone has a strength, everyone has some special skill. So a random skill I was a beekeeper for years, right? So if someone wanted to have me be on a panel where we talked about bees, I'd be like, let me tell you more. And then they would leave the room because I'd tell them too much things, and then they'd want to gouge their eyes out. So that's irrelevant, but you know what I mean? Like, so everyone has a specialty. We have experts who are lawyers and doctors and firefighters, and I want to get someone from a morgue. I think that would be cool. I would love to have awesome. Because stories take place everywhere and they involve all people. So we have people who talk about how to write inclusively and how to write, I don't know, I have done sessions on how to write science accurately, because I am so tired of reading books where they get details wrong. And I'm like, you could have Googled that. Come on, spend some time researching, please, or just get someone to read it for you and say, that's not how that works. But that's the whole thing, is everyone has some sort of a specialty. We have, every year we have a bow hunter who comes and demonstrates how to hold a bow and what that sounds like and how it feels in your hands and what the string feels like on your fingers. We also have a sword fighter who comes and he has them practice their stances, and they're out on the lawn and they're like, they work with not fake swords, but wooden swords first. So they don't like cut each other, and no hospital visits so far. Everyone signs a liability waiver, so it's fine. But yeah, so we have all these really cool people who teach these amazing hands-on sessions, because, you know, if you're writing a fantasy book that involves bows and swords, you need to know how those things work. Because if someone who reads your book opens it and is like, oh, I know how swords work and this is not it, you use the wrong word here, and you as an author, you're like, oh, I didn't know enough, I thought I got it, oops. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, there's experts everywhere. We had someone who came a couple of years ago who was an expert on handguns. So he came and talked about guns and ammunition. I don't know anything about that stuff, but he did. So he came and he was just barely starting his writing career, and he said, really, you think this would be useful? And I said, yeah, it would be. Please apply. Please fill out this form. We have the need for people to come and be experts, share their expertise, and talk about the things that they're either passionate about or they actually know way too much about, which is perfect. So we've had people who talked about costuming through the ages and corsets over centuries, what they look like, how they've changed, how they feel. You can try them on. Here, let's have a costume change. It's crazy. Different fabric types, so you can describe dresses and the way they sound when they walk. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. So if people think, oh, I don't have any expertise in writing, you have expertise in something else that a writer could very much learn from. So our Ask an Expert track that we have is always the most popular, because those are the things that people want to know more about and don't already know. You know, you can take like the 50th class on how to start your newsletter, which is great. And I learn everything. I learn something new every time I take one of those, but it's not the same as learning how to swing a sword.
Awesome. Yeah. So I know your window is already closed for this year. By the time that we're sending this out, it'll be March, and I think that it closes on the 28th of February. But
sure does.
People can keep an eye just on that main webpage. Is that the best place, or what's the best way to make sure that they hit these dates so that they can come and present?
It's the window for the Prequel conference is, I think it opens in September and goes until the end of December. So there's a 3-month window there. And then the Quills conference opens January and stays open for January and February, because we have to start building our faculty list, and it just is much more intensive, because we're being selective and we're choosing people who can do all kinds of things and making sure we don't have too much overlap of the same thing. Like last year we had, I think, 3 people who came who wanted to do children's books. And I'm like, three presentations on children's books, and they were very similar sounding. I'm like, that's maybe too much, but we definitely want one of those. And then maybe if we could do a middle grade and a YA, or maybe compare them or do a panel, that would be great. So it's all about building presenters.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I was going to ask, what benefit these kinds of things offered to authors, but I think that we've answered that question already, probably multiple times over. So, all right, Dee, do you have a closing question before we move into our last moment?
No, let's not do this, because a closing question will bring another closing question, and will bring another closing question. And this.
All right. In that case, Virginie, what is totally, completely, and utterly irrelevant in your life?
No, let's give the honor to our guest first.
Okay. Rachel, it is our moment of irrelevancy. What is something you would love to share with the listening audience that is completely and utterly irrelevant to everything else we've talked about today?
I am a botanist, and I have over 100 plants in my kitchen. It's a lot.
Nothing wrong with that.
I have a lot of plants. Which means I always have at least one plant in bloom all the time, all year round.
That's awesome.
Yep. Right now I have 2. I have 2 that are in bloom right now, and I love them. It makes me happy. And I have a particular love for, okay, so I share equally. Don't let them hear this, but I really love succulents and I really love orchids, and I have a whole collection of different species of orchids. They're all really super cool.
Orchids are
And
amazing.
I'm so excited. And I also really love carnivorous plants. And I just got 2 new species of carnivorous plants. I'm so excited that I haven't had before. One of them, too, Virginia, is it's a species of pitcher plant that's native to Australia and nowhere else in the world.
Oh, oh my God. Can I just say, I think I'm in love. Jenna, I think I
can see this. I mean, what is Alexander gonna say if he finds out that you're in love
Oh,
with roses?
I think he can. Alexander Skarsgård is my, my.
No, he's my
celebrity guy.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Oh.
we must share.
Okay, I'm willing to share him with you because like we can have a nice threesome together. Like he's totally, consent, all that, no need. So it's just okay. I'm for it. Like, see this.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Match made in heaven. I mean, because I'm so fascinated by those plants that eat like all the animals. Like I've seen one that's. So not that long ago, there's a plant in Australian botanic garden that's open only every 100 years, that only blows some every 100 years or something like that. And it is actually a carnivore plant, I think. And then they can the kind of thing they can eat is massive. Like we're talking about like big cat or something that we're not talking about flies. We're not talking about the small thing. I mean, they don't literally eat them. It's their goo thing that kind of them, like it's acid.
They digest. Yeah, they digest them.
Yeah, and I'm just fascinated by that. But talking about all your 100 plants in the thing, I'm the one who managed to kill a cactus. I was like particularly diligent. I was showing him a lot of love. He had a name, Mr. Spiky, because he was a cactus, so it's very original. And I managed to kill him. So I have 0 green thumb.
We can talk about that. We can talk about that.
Something we need to talk about. Oh my God. Okay. Let's. Oh my God. Oh, Jenna, what have you done?
I take pride in being the matchmaker around here and helping you to find other people who are amazing.
Oh my God.
That's what we're talking about with these organizations. A lot of what we're looking for is kindred spirits, because as Rachel mentioned, sometimes writers, our poor, wonderful families get to the point that they just do not want to hear our weird stuff anymore. And so to go to a conference, to go to a chapter meeting, and to meet up with people who are just as bizarre as we are. And when you go, and my character does this and he talks in my head, nobody looks at you like you're weird. They just go, yeah, mine too. I mean, it's we understand, and so
and then you high five.
Matchmake.
Yeah, you high five and then you hug at the end because you've made a best friend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean, you don't know what's gonna to happen to you, Rachel. I just have to warn you because I'm like once I'm it's like a stalker, like once I'm on my target, that's it. I'm all in. It's gonna be a relentless. Anyway,
I've been warned. I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, V, was that your irrelevant moment, or do you have something else you want to say before we close this thing up?
I do have an irrelevant moment, and it's just because in Sydney, Australia, it's full summer, and so I went for a swim, and I was like, let's try this new bikini. Let's go in, and then we go to this beach we normally don't go, and there's a bit of a wave. So I went in, and I have a wardrobe
malfunction
in the ocean with the waves, and
V.
Top or bottom or both?
Both.
No.
Both. And I mean, I can swim okay and everything, but when there's a wave and everything, and then I cannot stand up because I'm not touching the bottom, and then my bikinis are off, I had to go down the bottom to fetch it, and I don't know where it is, and there's waves, and I'm like, well, just to say that was a very humiliating moment. Nothing more to add. Jenna,
That's a great moment.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. Well, in contrast, here in Utah, we just got slammed by, I think, the biggest winter storm I think I've ever seen in February. I had a picture of my little girl from last February, and she's in a lightweight jacket and a cute little hat, and the sun is shining, and it's probably 45 degrees. And today it is 28 degrees, and there are 3 feet of snow out on my back deck. And
in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, in the last 24 hours. And my poor dog, we've talked about Sable before. Sable is a sheepadoodle. And so she's got curly hair, and she goes running for the door when I open it. And opening it meant pushing it open because the snow is up above the lintel of my door. So I push it open, and she goes running and just comes to a screeching halt at the edge of the door and looks out into the stuff and looks back at me like, what the hell happened to the world? This is, and I'm like, go out and go pee. And she's like, no, this is not happening. Those drifts are higher than I am. It's like, it's been 8 hours overnight. You must go out. And she refused. So we had to take her out the front door, which was a little bit more sheltered, where she peed on the walk because she couldn't reach the grass. And later she tried, and she bounds off the deck and just, and she's gone. She's like a 60-pound dog, and she was just woof. And then she comes running back in, and all the snow is all tangled in her hair. And so now all evening it's been walking around and slipping on little wet spots that are all over the house, because when she came in, she brought little snowballs with her. And they are everywhere, and they've been melting. So I have taken to carrying a rag with me everywhere I go so that I can stop and mop up all of the little snowballs. And we're having another virtual learning day tomorrow, so they're going to do it again. Between the child and the dog, I will be living in snowballs until the temperature goes up and it finally melts off. But I am grateful because Utah needs the water. Our reservoirs are very, very dry. So I am grateful for a very snowy year. But I would really like it if the snow could stay outside.
Yeah.
All right. That said, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming. We will have you back again. You have so many talents that we need to delve into that we didn't have time for this time. But
I can talk about things.
We'll have her back, boys and girls. You can find the show and the show notes at www.elantumdigital.com. We will include everything for the conferences. Actually, we'll include links so you can go read everything that the league has on the conferences, because that's probably the easier way. But we'll have everything there. You can follow the podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast distributor. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave us a review. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.